and we begin in the United States, where control of Congress remains unclear this morning, with many races still undecided in the midterm elections. But one thing is clear. The anticipated Republican red wave did not exactly materialize, with the party making far fewer gains than anticipated. So let's get an update. Jackson Proskow joins us now from Washington with the latest. You had a late night and an early morning, Jackson, so we appreciate this. So still a little murky in terms of the end result, but where do things stand right now?
Good morning to you, Anthony. The big picture result is that voters rejected what Republicans were offering across the country. And that's remarkable when you consider that a midterm election year is typically a rebuke of the party in power, in this case, Democrats. And when you consider that the economy is slowing down, that inflation is at record highs, and that many voters are generally dissatisfied with President Joe Biden, you would think that Republicans would have seen big gains, but that simply did not happen. Some examples for you. In Pennsylvania, John Fetterman defeated Dr. Mehmet Oz in that closely contested Senate race. It was a decisive victory, and the same goes for the Democrat who was running for governor of that state. He won handily. Big picture, of course, control of the Senate is still up in the air. There are 4 undecided races that will essentially decide whether Democrats or Republicans control the Senate. Here's the thing about that. Democrats only need to win 2 of those 4 races. Republicans would need to win 3. And right now, the math is looking more like it's in the favor of Democrats. When it comes to control of the House, Republicans seem more likely to take the majority there, but only a slim majority. This is not the blowout that many Republicans had been predicting. So, Anthony, at the end of the day, I think there will be a lot of soul searching within the Republican Party, because what should have been an easy win in both chambers and in many governor's races simply did not materialize last night.
Yeah, that's certainly what they were hoping, and a lot of the polls had suggested would happen. At the end of the day, when it comes right down to it, it doesn't matter what the score is when the buzzer sounds. It's whether you won or lost. And the question is, how long is it going to take to find out when that is going to be? How long could it take?
It depends specifically when it comes to overall control of the House and Senate, how razor thin those margins are. So if it comes down to waiting on results of a single Senate seat in Georgia to break that tie between Democrats and Republicans, that race in Georgia right now is so close that it's likely headed to a runoff in December. So we might not know control of the Senate until early December. And big picture when it comes to control of the House, same thing. There are a lot of very close races. If you dial in on Arizona, for example, where the governor's race is still up in the air and the Senate seat is still up in the air, we've been told it could take up to 12 more days to get full and complete results there to declare a winner. Now, that doesn't mean that there's anything suspicious or wrong going on, Anthony. That's just the way elections work in the U.S., especially when you have a high percentage of mail-in and absentee ballots, which are typical and normal. So it takes time, it takes patience. But on the other hand, states like Pennsylvania, where we were bracing ourselves for a long wait, again, we had decisive, clear victories there last night. No worry about recount. Little suggestion that there will be court challenges or anything like that.
It is fascinating. I guess we're kind of now used to these elections being drawn out. It kind of drags out the drama a little bit longer. We have to talk about Donald Trump, though, of course. What impact do you think he had on the election campaign? Of course, teasing the possibility as well, whether that helped or hurt the situation that he may run again. Get us up to speed on that situation.
It's going to be very hard for Republicans not to look at these results and not to see them as a direct rebuke of Donald Trump. That really questions his viability as a kingmaker within the Republican Party and his chances as a candidate in 2024. And here's why. Trump personally endorsed hundreds of candidates in various races across the country, including people like Dr. Mehmet Oz, who went down in flames last night. We heard time and time again from senior Republican leaders that the troubles that these candidates were suffering in many cases had to do with the quality of the candidates that they were. And of course, these are candidates that Trump pushed on the party. He foisted them on the party. These are also candidates who openly backed, in many cases, Trump's lies about the 2020 election being stolen. And in many cases, these candidates went to the absolute extremes. And these are all things that voters rejected, again, at a time when they are deeply, generally dissatisfied with the Democratic president in the White House and the overall picture of the American economy and direction of the country. They still looked at Republicans as an alternative and said, no thanks. So a very strong indictment and rebuke of Donald Trump last night.
So as we look forward, one last thing before I let you go. I mean, right now basically starts, even though the midterms are really not officially done because they're still counting, Effectively, the next presidential campaign season has kicked off in high gear, hasn't it?
It really has. Someone who's probably pretty excited about the result last night is Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. He won by a landslide in his home state. That probably buoys his fortunes within the Republican Party as an alternative to Donald Trump. Of course, Trump himself had teased a big announcement coming in exactly 1 week, which we presume to be his relaunched 2024 election campaign. It's questionable as to whether that can or will go forward at this point, or if he still tries to push ahead with that. And for Democrats questioning the future viability of Joe Biden, I think we saw some big moves last night that could potentially tee up potential future contenders. Keep an eye, for example, on Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Not only did Democrats keep the governor's mansion in that state, but they have the trifecta. They picked up the state house and the state senate as well. Full Democratic control in that state. Democrats did really, really well. And Anthony, if I can toss in one last note here, a lot of people wondered about the abortion question in this election. In 2 states last night, voters decided to solidify abortion access as a constitutional right. Michigan and the other one, deep red Republican territory, Kentucky.
So many interesting layers to this unfolding story. We appreciate this. Jackson, I know you're going to have another busy day as we look over those numbers. Jackson Proskow joining us from Washington. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
All right.